Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 9th episode of Metal with a Girl's Heart. The plan for today is to take a look back at some Song 3, but there are some things we need to take care of first. In episode 7, I meant to show this compilation of very adorable moments between Oli and the girls after performing Kingslayer. Sue thanked Bring Me the Horizon, said it was a dream come true. Oli called them the coolest people in the effing world. It was very sweet.
Make some fucking noise for Babymetal! Thank you so much, Bring Me the Horizon! Make some noise for Babymetal! Oh my god! Holy shit! That was the first time that has ever happened.
Finally, my dream come true!
She's so cute.
Thank you so much for this wonderful festival in Japan!
What a life, eh? These are the coolest people in the fucking world, so make some noise right fucking now! We are never gonna play Kingslayer without them. Ever again. It's just not right.
I just wanted to go back and hit a couple minutes from that.
Make some fucking noise!
Watch Moa. I think she's supposed to stay in position, but she just couldn't hold it together. I guess it makes sense how much she likes the song. Oh, big hug. Big hug. But now, it looks to me like Momo feels a little bit out of place. Not as happy as those two anyway. They are loving this. It would be only natural for Momo to feel a little out of place. I mean, by this point, Momo and Sue, they've had a decade-long relationship with Oli, and presumably Momo barely knows him at all. And I'm sure she wasn't comfortable in her new role. Wouldn't be surprising anyway. Like the audience interaction in Monochrome when she forgot she was supposed to join in with the other two. I mean, she may still not be 100% convinced way down in her heart. I mean, being new is hard. And when the other two have been joined at the hip most of their lives, it's easy to end up as a third wheel. And they all have to sort of psychologically get past those years when she wasn't just a third wheel, but a part-time one. Right? I mean, you could tell someone they're a full member, but it's a process for all three of them to actually reach down and believe it at a core level. And unfortunately, things are improving for her. I mean, the We Want Yui Back controversy is fading. She's going to be performing on an album for the first time. I mean, she was already getting more popular with fans, and now Song 3 is blowing up. Another thing from that episode, in Hanabie's Pardon Me, I Have to Go Now, I noticed that Yukino was wearing a tie that said protect your neck. I don't know if there's some deeper meaning there, or is it just some good advice that her boss should have taken. And then finally, I suggested last time that Babymetal HQ never does anything by accident, except that it seems they only learned how to spell Los Angeles on June 3rd. So now I'm not so sure. Or is there some subtlety I'm missing here? Now that I've had a chance to spend some time with Song 3, I have some follow-up comments. I'm sure you've all heard by now about Momo's connection to the number 3. It starts with her birthday being 3303, and I've lost track of how many more people have mentioned. So naturally, it's her favorite number, and since this is her star turn, boom, Song 3. There's an obvious similarity to Song 4, but the lyrics revolve around the syllable san, meaning 3, rather than shi and yon, which both mean 4, because apparently Japanese has 2 counting systems, because, sure, why not? Another difference is that Song 4 was written by middle schoolers, yet manages to have more depth to its lyrics. I was surprised to hear so many people didn't realize, or maybe didn't believe, that most of the growls were Momo's. I mean, it seemed obvious. Of course, some will be reluctant to give her credit, which isn't surprising. I mean, everybody knows Babymetal doesn't growl, right? And there are women who do, but Momo is Kawaii in human form, so there's going to be an adjustment period on that. And we could never just ignore plain old misogyny, right? I mean, a cute girl in a dress and bows in her hair is infringing on the manly man's domain. And some folks are going to hate that. But what if it wasn't her? Then who was it? Some people said Alex terrible, but it didn't sound like him at all. Though it does sound like all the other times we've heard Momo do it. And she also demonstrated it live on episode 22 of Metaraji, which was a reminder also, and when you listen to this, remember that her dad was a comedian. She's funny, and her timing is spot on.
で、その世紀末の大黒ミサ視察してどう思ったんだ
またなんか来た。お前、顔色が悪かったじゃねえか。なんだって？よく見ていたぞ。お前の顔色が悪い。
顔色が悪いと見えたんだな。顔色しか見なかったのか。
顔色が気になった。
演奏とかは見なかったのか、聞かなかったのか。
顔色だ。
顔色なのか。なんか憑依してるぞこいつ。
So I think it was Babymetal Death who joked about a conspiracy theory that Babymetal HQ has hired someone to follow Babymetal around so that all the growls sound consistent, including on the radio show. I'm sure they're all breaking down tape like it's the Zapruder film, right? There was a second growler behind the grassy knoll. Or maybe, just maybe, Momo's doing the growling. In song 3, there are like 1.5 million little bits of wordplay in the lyrics, and I don't speak Japanese, but as far as I've been able to tell from researching around, the following caption video is at least close. Trying to understand Japanese reminds me of reading poetry in high school. The teacher is saying, of course, this is a reference to that, and this other thing means that other thing. And I'm thinking, from whence within thine ass hath thee this pulled? But at least the song isn't deep. Quick warning to Japanese speakers. As a Babymetal fan, I should at least try to learn to pronounce Japanese words correctly. So, arakajime owabi moshiagemasu. I am sorry in advance. I'm sure it will be terrible. Apparently, the theme of the video comes from a famous wrestler named Antonio Inoki, who was known for the catchphrase Ichi ni Sanda and wearing a red towel on his neck, and hence the wrestling theme for the video. Notice one mistake they're making here is that they've actually put thunder in the Japanese captions instead of sanda, but that's not that big a deal. So it seems that Body-san comes from cell phones, 3 bars, full strength, maximum energy, maximum connection. That's reflected in the lyrics. I was wondering the first time through where the story is supposed to be taking place and who the main character is. I mean, the exam paper there is in kanji, while someone pointed out the name at the top actually looks like Alex written in katakana. So Alex in Japan, maybe? If you're wondering what the mountain is doing there, sometimes Mount Fuji is referred to as Fuji-san. So, also, I have a feeling they've made a little bit of a joke on rising sun there as well. And this chorus is the song's only actual melodic and lyrical content. Here we can tell the story is definitely set in Japan. You can see Japanese characters on the building in the upper left corner. So you'll notice that many words for family members end in san, including Oji-san and Oba-san, which is grandpa and grandma, in case, like me, you were wondering what was up with the disembodied senior citizen hits floating around the screen. I don't know what Grizzly has to do with Babymetal, though. I'm also not sure how the Russian lyrics fit, but then again, I wasn't sure how the other ones fit either, so that's kind of how the song goes. Still my favorite moment in the whole song. And one thing I thought of last time but forgot to mention because I have the memory of goldfish. It was very appropriate to give a Russian guy scores of 3 as payback for the Olympics. If you don't remember, the Russians were so corrupt that it was like a running joke. If something was outstanding, even outside sports, people would say something like, "Oh, all 10s. Oh, but a 7 from the Russian judge." Anyway. Other than chanting words with san in them, the rest of the video seems to be Karate Niten Zero, Karate 2.0. At first, I was worried about Mr. Terrible's, shall we say, colorful background in combat sports. I mean, the Babymetal ethos is about defeating your inner opponent, not actually like kicking someone's ass. Somehow, I'm not sure, but I doubt this dance routine he's doing is genre appropriate. And now this is where the Babymetal style interpretation of the song makes more sense. It's most likely that the bullies represent past trauma. I mean, they look the same in adulthood as in childhood. And now he's defeating them with rainbow-hued halitosis instead of his fists. Of course, other than the Ichi ni Sanda reference, the story had nothing to do with the lyrics. So we all just kind of have to guess what they were shooting for. See, that growl is not the same as Momo's growl, right? It's just, they don't sound anything alike. The idea that Alex Terrible was doing all the growling on this song just seems ridiculous. So Mr. Terrible's dance there reminds me of an idea I completely failed to explain last time, about how Babymetal opens up a range of possibilities for collaborators, particularly men. For instance, take Slaughter to Prevail. Right? At some level, everything they do is the same. Big, loud music, low-pitched, hyper-masculine, screamy vocals. I mean, it's only possible to have so much contrast. But now add like Babymetal's girly girl femininity, right? The two groups are operating on completely different pitch and separate stylistic levels, right? Automatic contrast, and they can never get in each other's way because they're so different. And the girls open up space for Mr. Terrible to go outside his usual persona, right? He's left his normal musical planet and been transported to Babymetal land with a brand new genre, comic kawaii deathcore, right? So there is no normal or no rules. I mean, that goofy dance he does in the video would probably be out of place usually, but I mean, this is a co-ed party. He can loosen up because Babymetal has set the cuteness level at Body-san. Anyway, hopefully that makes more sense than the mumbling I did last time. Now, I've heard some complaining about people who supposedly didn't like the song just because they didn't like Alex Terrible. But, I mean, some of us were very worried about this collaboration. I mean, all I knew this guy is some sort of uber macho, bare knuckle boxer, internet troll, sideways with the LGBT community, and a Nazi tattoo. I mean, gee, what could possibly go wrong, right? Now, he says he's put all that behind him, and if so, he's an inspirational story, right? And it's a great collab for him because Babymetal can sprinkle their wholesomeness on him in exchange for some of his metal cred. But it had better be true. Given the way they portray themselves, they have a responsibility for who they partner with. Otherwise, it's all... and it torpedoes their whole brand. In his favor, he's on the outs with Putin. I mean, if you rolled up everything that is the opposite of Babymetal into human form, you get guys like Putin and Trump, right? I mean, the girls should never be within 100 miles of those characters or any of their supporters. And Mr. Terrible also says he's evolved past crapping on the LGBT community, which matters to me. Like most people in creative and artistic fields, I'm not part of that community, but I have ties to it. And anybody who has a problem with them has a problem with me. I'm risking pissing you off right now because, I mean, this is a dangerous world, and anyone who supports the LGBT community has a responsibility to speak out. This is me speaking out. But no matter what, I mean, Baby cannot do business with trolls or cyberbullies. I mean, they just can't. Full stop. And then there's Mr. Terrible's admitted past as a fascist and his Nazi tattoo. I mean, he says he's repudiated all of that, and I have to believe that Koba and the gang from HQ did their research. I mean, if it turns out Babymetal isn't anti-fascist, then I'll delete this channel and go live in a cabin in the woods somewhere.